All right. So since we're live, I'd like to call the meeting to order. A roll call, appointment of alternates. Charlie, would you like to sit for the vacancy?
Sure.
And let's say, all right, let's move on to new business. Receipt of new applications. We have Cc21-016 69 Fernwood Drive application for a shed in the wetlands.
At first, can we take the vote on the two things that we'd like to add to the agenda?
Sure.
First, I'm requesting a receipt of application 2108. It is at 20 Terriffville Road, Stardust LLC. It is a self-storage facility. We'll review that at the next meeting, but I just want to add that after Fernwood for receipt.
All right.
And then we could just
You
say,
need a motion? I'm sorry.
yeah, we just need a motion to add that to the agenda. And when it comes to receipt, we just have to say received.
Okay.
I motion that we add that to the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? All right. And there was another item we wanted to add to agenda. After correspondence, we wanted to include conservation business. Do we have a motion to do so?
Yeah, Marjorie, I'll make the motion to add conservation business to the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, good. All right, then back to receipt of new applications. We have the one on 69 Fernwood Drive that I mentioned earlier. Tom, do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm just making sure we got everybody in the room. It seems like we do. Mr. Viscotti is not with us, so I'll be happy to work through his application. I'm going to throw you a little curveball here and ask first for a declaratory ruling by the commission if this is a regulated activity or not. Mr. Viscotti's property is, from the contours that I showed on the staff report, is basically filled in to a point where it drops off in a steep slope down to what I can visually see as wetlands. Everything that's there is maintained lawn. His shed is being built by putting it on concrete blocks, which I observed in the field because he framed the base of it and showed me that he was not digging for footings. He wasn't disturbing any soil. It is manicured lawn, and it is maintained lawn. And like I said, behind the shed, it drops off and goes down about 2 feet. And there you could see that it is a wetland area due to the vegetation and some moisture. But for a house built in 1985 during wetlands regulation times, I was amazed to see how much fill that this property and the neighboring properties had when the subdivision was done. So I would wonder from the commission, if you'd like to discuss, do you think that putting concrete blocks down on turf lawn at the edge of the precipice, even though underneath the fill there may be some wetland soils, if that constitutes a regulated activity because there's no disturbance?
Wow, that's a very interesting question.
I thought you'd like this one.
I mean, there was definitely a disturbance 30 years ago. That's
30 years ago.
Yeah.
That was while we still had the regular or out before the regular.
Oh, no, that's after. Regulations are 72, 73.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it must have been part of this. It must have been part of the subdivision approval, which I could not find, because sometimes they'll allow filling. If it's an open space thing, they'll allow filling and then a mitigation area. But the neighbors are the same way going through the whole neighborhood. It's very weird. And this does not look like manifest destiny. It doesn't look like brush piles and constant pushing over. This looks like it's been lawn since Mr. Viscotti bought the house, and he attested verbally to me that, yeah, he's just always mowed there, and he obviously can't put it down the slope because it's useless and it's wetlands, but he puts it on his lawn on blocks. Is he disturbing anything, impacting anything? Is it like a playscape at that point?
My only concern is any runoff that may be directed down the slope into the wetlands.
What are they storing in the shed?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't.
Yeah, that was my concern as well.
Yeah,
I agree, Jason.
I mean, either way, it's in the upland review area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
technically,
yeah. I mean, whether or not it's now wetlands, what was there 30 years ago, that doesn't. It's still within 100 feet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my gut tells me just to be consistent, we should
Okay.
probably see it as an application.
Okay. And then
Yep.
just so you know, if you're not going to do a positive declaratory ruling, you have two options. You can receive it and hold it, or you can delegate it to me if you feel that that's an upland review area.
And you would find out what they're going to be storing in that shed. And
Yeah, I mean, we do sheds in the upland review all the time, and it's
Mhm.
typically garden tools and stuff like that. I really can't regulate what they put into it.
Right.
You know,
Well, that's
from a
right.
wetland standpoint, we really can't. What we can regulate is the disturbance and impacts. And I understand, yeah, could gasoline be in there? Yeah, most people might. But I'd be concerned about the shell of it, runoff from the roof, minor. It's the shed size, if I'm looking correctly here, is a 12 by 12. So it's not a large structure by any means.
no, I don't think the runoff from the shed is the issue, or it's mainly the proximity of any of the things stored. And one of the things when the applicants come before us, we get to talk to them about that. I mean, that's only as good as long as that
Yeah, well then
applicant is living in that house.
let's err on the side of caution and say he's going to keep his lawnmowers in there. What could be worse? There may be, maybe some pesticides, but we don't have any authority to tell him he can't do that.
No, usually it's just an educational thing. But
Oh yeah, I understand.
it only lasts as long as that owner owns that shed.
Yep, yep.
It's,
I was just looking at it that there's no pile, there's no footings, there's no gravel, there's no excavation to put gravel. But I think to keep consistent with, as Jason said, if you want to take the application, we can take it two directions. We can hold it, or we can pass it off.
what is the
And I would condition it. I would get that detail for you. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
He's a typical close to retirement gentleman. He's not going 12 by 12 shed. He's not going to be working on cars in there and such.
So what's the consensus of the commissioners?
I would delegate.
Yeah, I'm okay with an agent action. I just think for consistency, I mean, it should have a permit.
Fair enough.
Before I agree with Jason, but also before we would, if there was more debate about it, I'd want to think about what the legal precedence was. So I think this is again telling us that we should make it a regulated activity or review activity.
Right.
So.
Well, I would go through your motions that you see it as a regulated activity and that you want to delegate it to me. Your normal motions.
I'll make a motion that we see it as a regulated activity and we delegate it to our agent, Tom Hazel.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so everyone's agreed. All right, good. All right, then we will move on to the next one is the 2108 Stardust LLC self-storage.
This information is in the Dropbox, but I came in last minute, so I didn't expect anybody to take a close look at it. But just as a quick highlight to it, it is basically a new storage facility at 20 Terrafil Road. If you turn on the Terrafil Road by the Old Inn or something like that on the corner there, the tavern that's
The old
there.
well.
The old well.
The old well.
Yeah.
It's basically that property behind it. The only activity that they're going to have in the upland review area is a infiltration pond. Excuse me. It's not detention. It's an infiltration pond. But we're just looking to receive it so that we could hear it at the next meeting and vote on it. So if you guys would like to receipt that, all you have to do is say application received. We don't even need a vote.
Application received.
Okay.
So on to, and that's it for new business. So we're on to old business. So the first item, or the only item is Cc21-016 Victoria Drive application for an in-ground pool with patio.
Yep. And we have Eric Lavasse, I believe, here for Giuliano's Pools to help walk us through it, and the homeowners here if there's any other specific questions.
Welcome.
Yes, hello, everybody. So what you can see we're trying to do here is, and I apologize, the pool that was sent to you, we actually changed it from an 18 by 36 rectangle to a 16 by 40. So we actually brought it in 2 more feet. So, just 2 more feet closer and further away from the wetlands. The main goal was really, we were worried about safety with grandchildren. So we wanted to put a fence around the pool itself. So based off the separation of the pool with the fence between the house and the pool, we really just kind of snuck this 16 by 40 as close to the house as we could have possibly gone. And we really just plan on doing the proper silt fence for erosion control, and really here just to answer any and all questions you have regarding it.
From a staff standpoint, we have visited this property before with a shed. I've been out to this property on several occasions, one for the pool review and one for the shed review. Along the edge of the wetlands, which is more of a marshy area behind the house, there is a large vegetative berm. They have a nice landscape planting area that's mulched, that has some elevation to it. So I think with the silt fencing and the berm that separates the two due to their plantings that they've had historically, the protection seems good. I would ask Eric one question. Is there any plan in place in case you need to dewater any soils that are removed?
For groundwater, you're saying?
Yeah, if you guys had anything that's too wet to move immediately, or do you have trucks for that?
We have trucks to move out immediately. When it comes to the actual groundwater and keeping it in control, every town's kind of different. I'm happy to kind of do what you suggest. A lot of towns say to kind of dig a bowl and then fill that in with some kind of stone and then discharge the water into kind of that bowl of stone so it could properly leach into the ground. But I'm happy to do whatever you feel is right.
It's my report. I leave it to the commission to make comments.
What are the other options? What else do you do in other areas?
I'm sorry, I missed some of that. Can you say that again?
What are the other what else? What do other towns require besides that?
I mean, every town's different. That's kind of the main one. Another one, people were okay with us discharging it into the road, into a storm drain.
Oh,
I know it sounds crazy, but every town's
all right,
different.
we won't go with that option.
I think historically we've looked for trucks that could haul.
Yeah.
If it has that potential to be wet, to be prepared for that. I think we've asked for that
We
before.
have had that. And when they dig out the hole and fill it with the rocks, where do they take this? Do they have to have a storage area for the soils that they dig out?
Every bit of soil that we dig up would be immediately removed from the job.
All right. That's the same for the pool. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And just for my own education, this is while you're doing the construction of the pool to keep the main pool area dry until you pour the concrete or whatever you're doing to assemble the pool.
That's correct. It's to keep it dry until we actually get the liner in the pool, and then we get the weight of the water inside the liner to keep the groundwater at bay.
Okay.
And is there any problem when you truck it off? The trucks leak, or they hold it pretty well?
So, I mean, we have dealt with muddy material before. A lot of times our triaxle trucks, they have these special kind of bolts that you can screw that tailgate tighter to the truck, and it actually has a pretty crisp, where there's no gap between where there's leaking soil or water coming out. It's made so that when we're hauling muddy material out, we're not trashing the roads.
And I can comment on their part. Out of all the pools that they've done over the last year, which we've seen several, but I've seen a lot more of. I've only had one time where I've had to have them sweep the road, and they did that in a timely fashion. Giuliano's has been responsive.
And if you did do the bowl and filled with rocks and the drainage into that, is there a suitable site on the property to do that? Have you identified that?
There is, yeah. There's a place, probably between that pool and the house, a little bit more off towards the side property where we could put that.
Okay, and that's not going to interfere with the septic system.
Not in the spot I have planned to do it, and it won't interfere with it.
All right. Well, it seems like and there's no concern that that hole will fill up with water. I mean, you are very close to the groundwater there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, was that a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, you're very close to the groundwater level there, so if you excavate the hole, there's no worry that that's going to fill in with water as well.
I haven't dug in this area, so I don't know exactly what I'm getting into yet, but I could tell you if there was very worst case scenarios, that would probably be it. And if that was the case,
Then you truck it off.
we would probably, worst case scenario, have to truck it off.
Okay.
But I don't think it'll come to that.
All right.
I don't know.
All right. Well, that seems like it. And then for the drainage of the pool, drawdown for the winter, where will the drainage go?
A lot of times, if there is groundwater, we don't really drain our pools anymore. We have these special kind of gizmos, they're called, that screw into the skimmers of the pool, and then we can winterize through that gadget, and it leaves the water level kind of where it is. There's no real draining of pool water anymore.
Good. All right. And I know backwash or something is an issue, but that's
Yeah, we don't have backwash filters anymore. It's one big cartridge filter, so it's not a thing anymore.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
I guess I'm not sure I understand about the drainage, because I would have thought that at some point in time you have to control the pool level just due to rain and other things like that, and therefore you have to discharge it somewhere, don't you? Or is that going back into the septic system or what?
So if there is that case where maybe the water is a little bit too high and the pool needs to drain, I mean, our pool water is, especially with the sanitizers we use, it's all EPA certified. It has very, very low traces of chlorine. It would just be as bad as if they were washing their car in the driveway, I guess. It probably even better based off what kind of soap.
Soap in it. Yeah.
Yep. So and so that just gets discharged onto the lawn then? Is that what happens in that case?
In that very rare scenario, it would probably just get discharged onto the lawn.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Any other questions?
A lot of times it takes a pretty severe rainstorm to really lift that water in that pool up to an area where it needs to be drained.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So would the commissioners be interested in going with the hole with the rocks to drain, de-water any of the soil from the pool, the excavation? Is that
I mean,
or trucking it off? I mean, those are the-
I think that makes the most sense. I mean, I think that's the minimum disturbance, right? Am I understanding that right? Keeps everything kind of local on that area. It's
yeah, they'd be trucking off dry material and discharging the
Oh,
well,
they have the ability to truck off wet material. If they have those abilities, are we okay with that?
well, it seemed like if they dig the hole, if it's not wet, they
Oh
can-
yeah, then they could just
they can discharge it in there, and if it is wet, then they can truck it off.
yeah, exactly.
That's what we would.
Okay, I'm just trying to get some clarity for when I write the permit. That's all.
Yeah. All right. So, any other questions?
Good.
All right. Would anyone like to make a motion? Oh, come on. One of us has to.
I'll make a motion.
okay.
A motion that we find that this is a regulated activity as it occurs within the upland review area.
All right. Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
A motion that this is not a significant activity as it's not going to disturb any of the wetlands and any soil removed for the pool is going to be handled appropriately.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, do we want to make a condition that they're dig the hole, dewater into the
But
hole?
I thought that would be in the next one, that we approve
Yeah.
it subject
Oh,
to these
okay, all right,
conditions.
good. You're right. Yes. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And I motion that we approve this application subject to the standard conditions and the special conditions of handling the soil appropriately.
With the with essentially the stone well as needed
Yeah.
on locally.
Yeah, with the stone well as needed.
Groundwater. Yep. Okay. I got it.
And-
I'll second.
All right, and all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you all. Takes a village. All right, thank you very much. All right,
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
all right,
Thank you.
all right. It's a while since we've done one of those. All right, so we're moving on to commission business, approval of the minutes from March 2nd. Did anyone have any comments or changes? All right, then we have a motion to approve.
I'll move we accept the minutes from our March meeting
Need a
and
second?
approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, agent actions.
5-4. Okay, let's start. Application 2102, 11 Rockland Drive, an above ground pool in the upland review area. I went out and did a field visit and spoke to the homeowner about their proposal and also did some research on the wetlands in the area. This pool will basically just barely come onto the upland review area by about 10 feet, no more, probably less, honestly. And their excavation for this pool is nominal. It's all turf area, probably to the back property line. So it's a maintained lawn. It's very flat. Their grading is minimal to almost none from the way that the pool area sits. So they're just basically going to remove some of the sod, do a light grading for the pool liner, and just build an above ground pool. I talked to them about the pool filters, the discharge conditions that we typically want, and looked into making sure that they understand there's so much lawn there. If they ever had to do any kind of drawdown or anything, it's the same kind of situation we're in. And the topography is extremely flat. So any condition to make the runoff run quickly to any kind of wetland area was non-existent in my opinion, as far as what I could see. And there's a very, very nice wooded buffer between there. So for them to encroach any farther back would almost be an impossibility. So they're kind of hemmed in where they are between the septic, the wooded area, and the fact that they mow around a lot of these trees and stuff. It gives a nice turf area for any kind of water that may splash out or any kind of maintenance that may need to be done. But I found that it was pretty straightforward. And actually, I believe this one is going to be a homeowner job. I bless their hearts for attempting it. After dismantling an above ground pool, I'd never want to put one together.
It's not too bad. I helped
Okay.
build one once. It's not too bad if you have a few people.
Okay. But yeah, they very lightly encroached on that upland review area. So I was fairly comfortable with that one. So any questions, comments?
Anything? No.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on to application 2104, 11 Hedgehog Lane, a deck in the upland review. Let me just refamiliarize myself with this one real quick. Oh, yeah, this guy. This is attached to the house. It's basically an extension of the house. It's a 12 by 12 deck, very minimal pier work in the upland review area. He was going with your standard concrete piers, 42 inches down, and seeing the area again. It's a turf lawn area. Not a lot of piers with a 12 by 12. You're probably talking what? Probably 4 piers for a deck like that. Didn't see anything that was going to get away from him building his deck as far as soil or materials. And the disturbance was very minimal as far as 4 piers were concerned. And I believe there were 10-inch piers for that area, 8 or 10s.
Okay.
All right.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Okay.
All right, next one.
9 Tollgate Lane. This one does encroach into the upland review a little bit more for the above ground pool, but at the same time, this one's flatter than a pancake. And the only thing that's behind this house is actually one of our drainage right-of-way ditches. So we drain 5 different streets into this stream, which is intermittent, if anything, because it's basically a drainage right-of-way ditch. But on the map, it shows as a ribbon of blue. So I took it as an intermittent water course because it takes drainage from the roads. So the upland review was determined from the bottom of that drainage ditch. Honestly, looking at Google Street View, you can see there's lawn almost up to the edges with ornamental grasses on the edge of the drainage ditch, blue spruces on another property. So it's maintained up to the edges of the drainage ditch. This is literally flatter than a pancake. I don't know if they're going to have to do much of any grading other than to probably get a little dip in the middle of the pool if they want a deeper spot. Other than that, it's just taking up the sod again. It's all maintained lawn all the way around this property, road edge to road edge, property line to property line, outside of screening from bushes, hemlocks, and other ornamental grasses. So the impact there was going to be very minimal. I felt that it was something that was pretty innocuous and shouldn't have much impact. Again, with our pool policies, I walked them through any kind of filter discharges. And honestly, hearing Mr. Levask, I agree. Most of the systems I'm seeing are those giant cartridge systems. And every year you just pull the cartridge, put a new one in. But I know that's what my friend down the street just changed to. So I was happy to hear him say that it's very easy to do. I remember having to backwash my pool as a kid and it was horrible. But this system, they're well aware of lawn discharge for any drawdowns or anything like that would be acceptable, not into the drain on the street. Just give it time to percolate through the lawn and such. Other than that, like I said, I don't see anything getting away from this project whatsoever.
All right. Any other discussion? Any comments? All right. Next.
And lastly, that brings us to the one that's missing the address. That's 2106. This is 94 Great Pond Road. There was a proposal for several decks on this property. One of them happened to skirt the upland review area. It's a 2nd-story balcony deck. It'll be standing on, let me see if I have the schematic. I believe it's less than 4 piers. It's a very small deck. I take that back. That'll be 4 piers. It's like 18 or something. They got the schematic here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's got a little bump out. So 6 piers in the upland review area. It's typically a deck. Nothing strange. Everything's outside of the piers. There's no disturbance to the soils. Because of the height, they couldn't do helicoils, which sometimes I like better in the upland review because it just corkscrews into the ground with little or no disturbance. But because of the height of the deck, they do need the retention weight of those concrete piers at a frost level. So yeah, just another typical deck. Don't see much issue with any kind of disturbance or anything getting away from the project.
Okay. Any comments? All right, great.
Okay.
Good, thank you. And thank you for doing those.
No, I try to. I know that we've been very busy, but then we also had a lot of other stuff going on. So I've been trying to keep our work very focused on the high level stuff. But as things come in, we'll hear more and more of it. So.
All right. So we're on to correspondence. Have you had any correspondence?
I haven't heard anything. I haven't had any issues with anybody or any wetlands violation. Oh, actually, nope. I bear with you. There'll be somebody coming in for an after the fact permit. I wonder if the commission would like to at least meet them. It was just some regrading in the upland review. He was not aware. He's had permits for other things like AC units and stuff, and I've dealt with him. He has an issue with his neighbor. His neighbor drains adversely onto his property. So he did a little regrading, but I felt that it was a little extensive to fall under the landscaping clause. It was a little more soil than I would have felt comfortable with, but he did have proper E&S in place and it was hydro-seeded. So it was very stable, but I am making him come in for a wetlands permit for review. It's up to the commission if you feel like you want to slap him on the wrist or something, but the job was well done by a professional. It wasn't just a homeowner. And now he's very aware of his surroundings, where his upland review area is. There was nothing in the wetlands. It was just upland review. But I did tell him, due to the volume of soil that was placed in the upland review, that he needed a permit for that.
So he'll be coming in for one?
He's going to be coming to me. I haven't had a chance to. I've driven by and visited the site, and I don't see anything going badly. And I've been extremely busy due to short staffing. There's only 2 of us in our department right now. So I'm trying to get him to link the application, get his check received and all that. I just didn't know if the commission wanted to say hey to him and be like, next time you need a permit, or if me saying it to him should be enough.
Well, I think
How much fill was there? Like
Um,
truckloads,
oh, it's
yards?
truckloads. Yeah, I would say probably.
Okay.
I'd probably say about 2, maybe 3. I have probably 2 triaxles at the most, because
That's a lot.
20 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Any-
lot.
Yeah, anything over like, I forgot what it was, like 5 cubic yards. There's a landscape clause, and each professional has a different interpretation. But if you're just like filling in where an old tree was or something like that you had stump ground, the landscape clause kind of comes into effect. But like, it's his front left side of his house, and it was just like, the neighbor of course complained because his old discharge now doesn't come off his property anymore and go onto his. So he complained, and that kind of drew us into it. Yeah, he had more than I was definitely comfortable with. And he's aware of it. He's like, I just didn't know. And I'm like, well, now we're having the conversation, and are you going to fill out the permit? He said, you get me the information, I'll fill it out and I'll apply.
Okay, that's good, because I have a few stump holes that I have to fill in this summer.
Oh, no,
so-
no.
so-
Landscape clause is state statute, allows for minor topsoil grading, seeding, plantings, stuff like that. You know, it's when you get into the major disturbances that they want to limit that.
so. If we bring him in, he's just going to go through what
I've already-
everyone would have to go through. So it really doesn't. It's not making them. I don't know that we should make an exception for him and just say, make the permit, because everyone who would do such a thing with such landscaping should come before us.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it's an upland review thing. It depends on how it's being done and such. I mean, I don't think he would have a problem saying, hey, this is what I did. It's in the upland review. Are you guys okay with it? Because he's filling out the application anyway.
No,
it's already done. So
No, but I still think someone should come before us, even if it's after the fact, so we can discuss.
I'm good with that. I'm
Yeah.
good with that. I'll make note of that.
Something there. Does everyone agree?
Yeah. I mean, if it was 2 or 3 truckloads, I think that's something we'd want to see,
For him.
regardless if it was before or after the fact.
So we don't want to set a precedent that if you do it after the fact, we won't call you in.
Oh, I
Yeah.
hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you. I hear you. No,
All right.
no, I'll, when he fills out the application, I'll let him know he has to come to a meeting.
Yeah.
Obviously what's done is done, but I'll do I'll try to do some before if I could find something, and then take pictures of the after so you
And
guys can see.
And how is he re-landscaping? What is it?
It's just, it was lawn before. He's just doing lawn again.
Sometimes I think we have an opportunity in these things. I know we don't have any teeth to this, but sometimes to encourage people to pull back from those, from the wetland border. I mean, it seems like we've had a lot of applications going right up to, lawn right up to the wetlands.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. I mean, we want to pull back the lawn.
Yeah, and I haven't looked enough into his property, because honestly, my boss, I was off at the time that this came to us, and my boss went out and did a lot of the legwork, but I've driven by and taken a look and walked it. But I don't believe it's a very large parcel, so I think he was just trying to preserve what he had and keep it from flooding out.
Yeah.
Because of honestly, there's a white pipe from his neighbor's leader drains and perimeter drain that's pointed directly at his property.
Ooh.
So everything that comes off the roof and comes off the foundation goes right into his property. That's a civil matter. I said, I'm not getting involved in that.
Yeah, but I know we've had these cases before where people are taking it right up to the edge of and we have an opportunity for education saying pull back.
Well, and that's kind of where with the 6 Victoria Lane, when I went out there, I was very happy with what they had planted along along the edge of their property because there were a lot of things that were beneficial to wildlife that might be living in the marsh and stuff. I was
Good.
like, wow, that was a very well thought out. And she's like, no, we had a landscape architecture person come in
Good.
and actually do it. So
Good. Yeah, because I know one of the concerns is if you're planting right next to the wetland, you don't want it to get into the.
oh no, nothing was invasive. I didn't see anything that
No.
raised an eyebrow.
No,
But
good.
at the same time, yeah, it was just a little more ornamental, but very supportive. So
Yeah.
I was happy with it.
All right, no other correspondence?
Nope.
All right. So we get down to conservation business. And we haven't really been addressing a lot of our duties as conservation. But I did get an email from Jason saying that he wanted to see some things about plantings. I know I had submitted a list of bird-friendly plantings. I mean, this is relevant to the bird feeder regulations that we have. How to plant in your yard to feed the birds the rest of the year or even during the winter. And I know I had submitted a thing. Is it on the website?
I can't find it, and that's what I
Yeah,
wanted to broach. Is I have it open now, and I can't find it. And
that's the
Honestly-
problem with our website.
Honestly, if it's through the town, is it a separate website than the town website, or is it the town web?
no, it's the town website.
Now it-
I just received access to edit the town website.
Ooh,
It only took a year. So Marjorie, if you'd like to discuss on a sidebar at some point and if you still have some kind of documentation for that,
I do.
I will try to put that link up there so that we could have that.
Yeah, we and I think this is something that on our website. I mean, we should have some conservation issue information for the public if they can find it on our website. I mean, I notice other websites for conservation commissions in other towns, they have information of public, for public education. This is a great way.
Yeah, it's a little underrepresented. We can work on that through time.
Yeah. And that's wrong. So we could start with a list of things to plant in our.
Yeah, notification about due to the bird feeder policy. Here's some alternatives that you could do if you still want to see your
Yeah.
birds.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
you.
All right.
We'll talk about that on the side at some point.
Okay. And then Joe and I are having some conversations. Joe is working with the pollinator pathways, and was it 2 days ago? We had a meeting.
Monday,
We had yesterday.
yesterday.
So long ago. We had a meeting with Mike Glidden, trying to figure out how to move some of the conservation issues in town ahead. So Joe, do you want to say what we were discussing?
Sure. Thanks, Marjorie. Yeah, Marjorie and I had a Zoom meeting with Mike, talk about conservation and serving in an advisory role, in particular for new construction and for the zoning commission. A lot of times the construction goes in and, you'll see a landscape design that includes invasives or non-native ornamentals and, things that aren't as eco-friendly as they can be as far as the landscape design. And, our conversation with Mike was that, we have this commission, Conservation Commission. This is, part of what we're supposed to do is provide advice and counsel on things of that nature. Mike suggested that we write a correspondence to zoning to express some of these concerns and to, have a meeting with them to discuss how we could provide a lot more, sort of in that advisory role. I sat on zoning as an alternate, and I would liken it to a lot like what Design Review Board does, where if for example, they're gonna do some renovations on the Andes Plaza. Well, they went to design review first just to make sure that the colors being used or the lighting and things like that, and if changes needed to be made, that's the advice that's given to zoning. Now it's not regulatory, but it is advisory, and I think given some of the things we've been discussing here tonight, in particular, lawns going right up to the wetlands and things like that, And with the amount of new construction that is going on in town, that we could better serve the community to take a more substantial advisory role. So that was part of the discussion. As I said, Mike suggested that we write a correspondence to zoning to get the ball rolling on it, and then to meet with them to talk about that. We also talked about low impact design. I know the city of Manchester has a very good sustainable design and low impact development guidelines. They do things like vegetative swales to mitigate storm water runoff and things like that. And I would certainly think that, that may be something that we could work on, as well as guidelines to then, provide that, to the various commissions who, deal with that new construction. So, it was a very fruitful conversation. Mike, as always, was, very helpful. And, I would certainly hope that we could at least arrive at consensus that, to start the ball rolling on that, and to take a more sort of active role in those types of things around town.
Being the environmental planner over in Windsor, I'm very familiar with the lid designs.
Good.
And there were, I don't know if there still are, but I can check with some of the developers.
Mhm.
There were state credits and bonuses.
Yep.
And also you got to advertise, like if you did, one of these mixed use developments that we have down on
Mhm.
Hot Meadow in the south end of town, if
Right.
you got lid certified, you advertise yourself as an environmentally friendly development, and you can actually attract a higher price and value for your property. So
Right.
yeah, I think you got a good idea there. And
Yep.
getting more out of my zoning role in the future and going into my now assistant town planner role.
Yep.
With my environmental background, I would be looking for these things more, so I can
Okay.
see where you're going with it. And
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Well, maybe we could have a conversation, you and I, just to kind of get the ball rolling and see what we can do, and bring some things forward. I would welcome that. I hope the commissioners agree. While I know it's important that we ensure, the residential upland review areas and the pools and the sheds are done properly. And that's, from our regulatory standpoint, that's what we do. But I think there's also the conservation side of it too, that is really where, we can make a positive impact in the community.
And one of our discussions that we, relevant to that, the design review board, they are asked for to consult with zoning. We are rarely ever asked by zoning to consult with them on anything that's not in an upland review area. And in our conservation, role, we for years we've been asking why aren't we getting a say on some of these issues? It is just a advisory role, but that's what we're supposed to be doing. And to have that conversation with zoning about the plant selections on various things that are outside they still have a conservation impact.
That's what I used to do in my old role as the environmental planner.
Yeah,
Was review that. So with that, I'll see more of it. So hopefully I can convey more of it.
Right.
Lovely. So that's
Beautiful.
So we will write a letter with your agreement. I'll write a letter to zoning and saying that we'd like to have a discussion, or we'd like to have, more coordination between the two.
Yeah.
If you'd like to be asked to review things.
We're here. Use us.
Yeah.
We're here. So I will write one. I'll coordinate with you, Tom.
Yeah, between me and Mike, we'll get that to him.
We'll get that letter done. Tom, do you have the LID for Manchester? Joe has it.
I don't have Manchester's. I used to just go off general lid guidance that came from like engineering firms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester has a nice document. I thought it might be of interest to the commissioners. So
UConn does a great job too with their developments now, and I don't know what they have for documentations on their lid certified projects, but they have quite a few.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Well, Tom.
maybe we can send them to you, and you can forward them to the commissioners.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Very good.
I cut someone off. some of that something you wanted to say?
And then Marjorie also mentioned I'm very involved with the Simsbury Pollinator Pathway. It's a new sort of environmental advocacy group here in town to rejuvenate, the pollinator population through native plantings and removal of invasives and things like that. We've had some discussions with some groups around town who are very interested in putting in, we call pollinator friendly gardens and that. So there seems to be a real interest in it in town from some organizations. So I think, this is a very good time for us as Conservation Commission to, start bringing these issues forward for the town itself, for the municipality, but also for, as I said, any new construction or things like that. And for example, this gentleman who, put in, 2 truckloads of soil, there may be some other things that we could think of landscape design wise, instead of just, putting some more sod on top, spreading more pesticides around.
Yeah, if he
so,
wants
these are the
yeah.
things I think we as commissioners should be thinking about.
Yeah, if he wants to screen from his neighbor, there's plenty of nice bushes that he
Yep.
could put that are very in the positive.
Yep.
And it's a long-term thing. Nothing
Mhm.
happens quickly, but
Sure.
as we go through the barn door triangle and trying to make that a useful area for the town,
Yep.
there's a buffer strip that I'm looking to design in that, and I'd love
Okay.
to do some consultation on that.
Sure.
Outside of just woody vegetations, having some
Yep.
other plantings and mix it up, because that's a
Sure.
nice strip and it's a very large
Yep.
area.
That's the kind of thing I'm, putting on sort of the Simsbury Pollinator Pathway habit. That's the kind of thing that we could be very helpful with. Because that's a great location for that. And it's a great idea to do that.
And these projects are very low maintenance, and that's what the
Yep,
town needs. It
that's-
saves the town money.
You bet.
That's
That-
speaking of that. We also talked with Mike about possible areas over at Simsbury Farms that the town wants to lead by example to
Mhm.
do things. So it's whether it's the removal of invasives or the planting of natives.
Yep.
There's some opportunities over at
Yep.
Simsbury Farms, which would be a great educational area as well. So
Certainly.
looking forward to those things. And there's also things going on with the open space. Their open space is slowly, but moving forward. They have developed policies for farming, for encouraging people that want to lease from the town to practice organic farming methods, that use best management practices for soil maintenance, and also we're looking at the various documents that I'm hoping that once they're we'll get them to you. So we're looking at how to manage the meadows, what time to mow, which ones to mow at what time for which species, whether you're managing for pollinators, whether you're managing for birds, tend to mow at different times. So various things seem to be happening in town, and so we need to get this up on our website and get the public involved. There's a wonderful book. I don't know if any of you've read the by Douglas Tallamay, Nature's Best Hope.
Nature's Best Hope. Yep.
Nature's Best Hope. And if you haven't read it, it's a great one to read for conservation.
Yeah.
And he maintains that if we just took half of our yards, we could make a national park backyard, or the backyard, or the home yard, whatever, national home garden park. And it would be bigger than 10 Yellowstones. I mean, it's an enormous area, and it would be connected habitat, and it would be beneficial for the wildlife. There's only so much land. Speaking of someone who's on the Simsbury Land Trust, there's only so much land we can buy, so many fundraisers we can do, so many bake sales. But speaking of land purchases, Meadowwood, even though it was voted, even though we sent a letter saying great project, and a lot of the other commissions and boards said they supported the project. The Board of Finance, 2 weeks ago, voted it down.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well,
They didn't even vote.
They didn't vote down. They just
They didn't
they
even
didn't
vote.
vote on it.
They
Yeah,
didn't even take
They
a
didn't get a
second on
second.
it.
it was
Yeah.
a pretty interesting meeting. But that weekend, it was on a Tuesday. By that weekend, many individuals got together, Joe included, and got 1,800 signatures, twice as many as were needed for the to get the petition. So it's on the ballot. There will be a town meeting on April 24th at the 11 o'clock at the Simsbury rink.
Yep.
So I encourage everyone interested in the project to go there. And then I think it's going to be on the May 4th.
It should
May
be.
4th.
If
May
they,
4th is what I
it will be.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the what's the April meeting about then?
And it should,
It's part of the town charter that if you petition and you get the requisite number of approved of verified signatures, that then it's required they have a town meeting to then vote to place it on, put it forward on the referendum. So it's
Yeah.
kind of pro forma.
But the real thing is the vote on.
Yes, to get on May 4th and vote.
Yep.
I mean, the maybe get 6% this year turnout. I've worked those. I've worked the referendums, and they're
I know.
brutal.
It is amazing.
I totally
we didn't
forgot
get-
to go to mine in my town over turf fields versus non-turf fields.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
one referendum we didn't have someone walk in the door for an hour and a half or something.
I know.
Brutal.
I know. I mean, I would encourage people to vote for it. It's your tax money, but you know, but you know, I mean, even when we have like off presidential year elections, it's 28%. I mean,
Oh, no,
for
no, the
municipal
refer-
election.
The
But I know,
referendums are 5-6%.
Oh, I
That's
know.
the tops.
I know. I agree. But
It's amazing. This is the stuff that matters most. I mean,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
then your municipals.
Well,
I mean, this is where you live.
Well, when I was at, they had at Henry James, one of the teachers, I graduated with his brother. He said it was, the presidentials, it's important. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. But he said you should have high turnout in order of importance: referendum, municipal, state,
Yep.
mhm.
Senate,
Agreed.
Washington, and then the president. Because
Yep.
Reverse
That's
what we have.
yeah, you
Reverse.
pass a bad budget, your taxes go up, and no
Sure.
one thinks about it. It's
Yep.
like, oh, my taxes went up. Why did that happen? Well,
You didn't know.
And I don't know about other people, but the most taxes I pay are my local property taxes.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
So I apologize for canceling the last meeting, but I know I wanted to attend that meeting. Joe wanted to attend the meeting.
Yep.
I wanted to have everyone have the opportunity to attend that meeting. So I figured it was important enough for us to take part in that process.
Well, I got a little bit of blowback, but I explained it to them as best I could.
Thank you.
It was definitely an interesting meeting. It was definitely very.
Yeah.
I had one other thing,
Yeah.
kind of a late thought. I wanted to discuss possibly taking a position on the potential zoning reform that's going through Hartford and the impact it could have on our ability to manage conservation and potentially wetlands issues in town. I can't keep track of what's in all the bills right now because there's so many, but there was talk of, as of right regulations where it would just be like, people can do whatever they want as of right. And I thought, as Conservation Commission, we should potentially, I don't think it's too late to submit testimony to these bills or, send a letter saying, hey, we oppose just anything that reduces our authority over environmental issues.
And the interesting thing is, as conservation, we really don't have any authority other than advisory.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of the bills I saw, it was that a developer could come in and do literally whatever he wanted, no
Yeah.
zoning at all. So
I
on
mean,
that
I don't know
wetlands, I'm just going to fill it in and build something.
Yeah,
There's like zero oversight.
Yeah, at one point it was 50% of the parcels within a half mile of the bus stop were as of right to do whatever they want. And I mean, there's not too many bus stops in Simsbury. I know one of them's right down the street from me. And the Farmington River is right there. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like stuff that is seriously concerning.
What
It's-
does the bus stop have to do with it?
It was
It's
intermodal
It's public
transportation.
transportation.
Yeah.
Yeah, low impact or low cost housing.
Yeah,
affordable
I mean,
Yeah,
housing,
this is
that.
all wrapped. This is all wrapped up with affordable housing in order to try to make it easier to just come in, build it, and be done. That's
Yeah.
what it's all wrapped
Interesting.
around.
And I want to,
We have a lot of affordable housing. It just doesn't qualify under the.
yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
that's
It's the
a-
definition. It's how you look at it. Yeah.
yeah.
Changed
I mean,
it
you know,
actually
I
a lot.
want to make it clear, you know, I'm not against, you know, development in town or, you know, quote unquote affordable housing, any of that, but it needs to be,
Balance.
you know, balanced
Mhm.
and
Right.
the land use boards, you know, us included, need to have, you know, a say in what goes where. I mean, we don't want people literally filling in wetlands to put up apartments.
Yeah,
But
and that's what
And
is
because-
the fear. There's no zoning, so you could have,
Yeah.
you know, an
And
apartment right next to a like at the end of Simsbury Airport. You know, you have planes flying. You know, it's like zero
Well, I mean,
oversight.
half my
It's
neighborhood
terrible.
is within a half mile of the bus stop over by Riverview. I mean, someone could literally buy up several lots and put an apartment complex in
Mhm.
the middle of my neighborhood. And, you know, that's not necessarily a wetlands or conservation issue, depending on what's around there, but it's an issue for all of town to consider. And, you know, people live in neighborhoods because they want to live in a neighborhood. I don't
Oh, I
want to
agree.
live in an
Well,
apartment complex.
the thing that I find a little bit interesting about it is the fact that when wetlands regulations came in the 70s, the state dictated the regulations but gave us the right to rule as a municipality. Now I don't see DEP turning a blind eye to what they statutorily created and gave us the right to enforce. Are they going to enforce it? Are they
No.
going to? You can't even get an answer from them right now.
No, and unfortunately, the numbers are down so far
Yeah.
that they
So-
wouldn't be able to anyway.
You know, I'm just more of afraid of giving up that right to rule over stuff and opening up Pandora's box, because then who's going to step in and say that that's a violation
Right.
when now our wetlands regulations are also wrapped up in the federal wetlands regulations
But
through Army Corps and everything else.
if it's as of right, is it a violation?
That's the thing.
That's
Is
it.
that as of
It
right
would- it
going to be?
would-
Is
it
that
wouldn't
as of
be,
right
wouldn't
going to be defined in the state statute the DEP gives us? Because we do have a definition of as of right in our state statutes, which our regulations should be based on. So there's a lot of putting the cart before the horse on this thing, and that's the only thing that makes me a little nervous.
So
Yeah.
Jason, can you send us the numbers? I mean,
Yeah, I'll have to do a little bit of digging, but yeah, I'll try and get that done tomorrow. It's just there's so many bills floating around right now
There are.
on this issue, and some of them have literally no text. So who knows what they're going to be? It's, I mean, it's quite frankly scary stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't want the state dictating to zoning any more than you want them telling us how to run our schools. I mean, that's, to me, is very much the same. You know, it's a similar thing. You know, we have local control over schools, and, you know, we should have local control over, you know, zoning. And
I mean,
You know,
the reason Simsbury is desirable is because of the hard work of the town and people on all these boards
right.
that make smart decisions.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, and I grew up here and I stayed. So
So did I.
It's a testament.
Yep.
I did not. I moved out of Manchester.
well, good discussion. All right, so we got some things to do, some things to read. We'll see if we can get some, you know, the bird feeder information up on the, and we'll look for other things that we can start adding to our discussions. And Tom's going to be adding conservation business to our agenda. So
Yep.
we'll start tackling these things one by
Good.
one. Excellent. All right. So unless there's anything else to discuss, anyone have anything else? Who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. See you in
All right.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Guys, in a
Thank
few
you very
weeks.
much.